Lisa. My name is Allie and I'm the social worker here at the ER. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. So I do understand that your dad was brought here to the ER tonight by the ambulance, and I was told that he was found outside of his house bleeding by his hand. And it also sounds like there was a welt and some bruising on his chest as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit with you and kind of figure out what circumstances brought us here tonight. And before we get started, I do want to let you know that your dad is stable. We're not planning on admitting him tonight. And he doesn't have any severe fractures, and his hand is also being stitched up. So
Okay, good.
yeah. So before we kind of explore what's been happening, I do just want to let you know I might be taking down some notes because I just find it easier to kind of keep track of what went on.
That's okay.
That's all right with you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I am also aware that your dad is diagnosed with dementia, and I know how that can kind of play a role in different situations. So I just wanted to start out with a couple more general questions, and then we can kind of work our way from there. Is that okay?
Yep, that's
all right. So the way I understand it, your dad lives with your mom, Judith, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they live at home on their own, and me and my siblings have been kind of trying to help care for them, but recently, since I live the closest, I've been the one that's been going over there at least once a day to just check in and make sure they're both taking their medications.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So it sounds like you have kind of stepped into that primary caregiver role along with your mother.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and recently she's been less able to care for herself because she had a recent fall.
Okay.
So she is still recovering from that. And then I think after the fall, my dad became more agitated and was starting to wander more. So that's when we started to see a little bit of his decline as well.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot of changes have been happening within their household. Okay. And so were you at your parents' home prior to coming here to the ER?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I got there, he was getting ready, getting dressed to leave, and obviously he doesn't have any place to go. So I was asking him like where he was going, and he got mad and told me that it wasn't any of my business. And I tried to block the door to his bedroom when he was trying to leave to get the keys, and he pushed me and put his hands around my neck, so that's why I'm a little red. And then he went outside, and then that's when I grabbed his arm to keep him from leaving, and that's when he tripped and fell. He fell against our drain pipe thing, and that's how he cut his hand.
Outside?
Too.
Okay, so that explains why he was found outside too.
Yep,
wow.
and recently, last month, he had left one time, and a neighbor found him in the community that they live in, and they were able to get him to come back home. And then one time when I got there, he wasn't at the house, and he was found in the field behind the grocery store where he used to work at. So there's been other instances of him leaving and then not being able to get home.
Yeah, wow. That sounds like it's been hard to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry you've had to go through all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned some increased agitation, and obviously the wandering has been an issue too.
Yeah.
And I will say when I talked to him a little bit ago, he also seemed a little agitated as well, kind of falling in line with what you have been describing too.
And I think since my mom had fallen, since she was a really good caregiver for him, he was used to her doing everything, and so since she hasn't been able to do that, he's been thrown off of his routine a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Okay. So you would say you started noticing the increased agitation and behaviors since your mom fell.
Like that was like
Okay.
a month or two ago.
Okay.
And then just twice in the last month is when he has left the house, and
Okay.
I found him one time, and then the neighbor helped him get back home the first time.
Okay. So yeah, I mean with dementia these types of behaviors are relatively common, unfortunately. But I am wondering too, so we do have different psychotropic medications that sometimes doctors prescribe just to kind of control those behaviors. And I saw that you are kind of in charge of their medication too.
Yeah.
So do you know if he's prescribed any of those right now?
I don't think so. My siblings and I have been trying to get him to go to the doctor so we can hopefully put him on one to maybe help with some of the agitation, but he hasn't been willing to come to the doctor's office.
Okay.
So I don't think he's on anything right now, but that would be something that we're interested in.
Okay. And I know too, since routine is such a big part of an individual with dementia kind of being all right and not agitated, we could also maybe look into a doctor coming to their house.
Yeah.
So then you don't have to worry about throwing him off his routine and
Yeah, that might be
okay, so I'll make a note of that and then we'll look into that maybe at the end. Okay. Well, good. And yeah, I know you kind of already mentioned about your neck. And so that's definitely a bit of a concern. Just because it does kind of show increased agitation and aggression when he's more confused. And so it does sound like you were more so defending yourself against. I know you were trying to stop him.
Yeah, stop him from leaving, but it also worries me too if my mom were to try and stop him from leaving since she has fallen. You know, she's weaker, and if he were to push her or something, like she could potentially fall and get hurt again. So that's another concern for us.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a lot to handle.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of figured out what happened tonight. So now I'd kind of like to switch to a more long-term plan. Maybe to avoid a scenario like this from happening again. So I do think, obviously I'm not a doctor, but if we look more into contacting your primary or his primary physician to look into medications to help with the aggression and agitation a bit. But I also kind of want to explore your and your mom's comfort in continuing to care for him at home. Just because you have expressed some concern regarding yours and your mother's safety especially. So do you want to talk a little bit about that if you and your siblings have discussed?
Yeah, I think my mom wants to try and keep him at home as long as possible. But she gets really upset when, you know, he's gone, obviously, or, you know, when he had to come here, that's why I couldn't come with him, because I had to wait for my brother to come after work to get to the house to stay with my mom, since she's still recovering, so I didn't want to bring her to the ER and get her more confused and worried. But yeah, I think, you know, we might be getting to the point where, you know, might need additional help, or, you know, maybe if we can get on a medication that helps with some of that first, and then, you know, if it doesn't help, then we could look into, you know, additional help or some other resources.
Yeah, for sure. So that's actually what I was going to kind of go to from there as well. With the psychotropic medications, it does sometimes take a few weeks or longer to kind of kick in and really make a difference. So I'm wondering if you and your mom would maybe be open to me providing you with some in-home resources,
Yeah.
like a caregiver, and I know it is in the evening as well, and sometimes sundowning can be an issue with people
Yeah,
with
he
dementia
typically gets worse at night.
So maybe we could look into a schedule that would work well for you guys, even for someone to just kind of come in and help him get to bed in a calm manner.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. And two, I mean, that kind of covers the physical cares of your dad, but I also want to talk a little bit about the stress that this can cause oftentimes.
Yeah.
Both for you and your other siblings helping out a little bit, and your mom especially. So there are Alzheimer's and dementia support groups for caregivers.
Okay.
So I could give you a little bit of information about those if that's anything.
Yeah, I think, or anything written down that I could take back to my siblings and give them to, that would be good.
Okay. And do you want a hard copy of those? Otherwise, I could email them to you as well.
Email would be best, I think, actually.
Okay. And what's your email address?
Gorman Claire N @gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll definitely send you those. And then I could also send some additional, like, written down resources, like you said, just educating about sundowning and different behaviors that could arise before these medications are given, or even potentially after.
Yeah, that might be good too, because I think my mom gets so worried, but, just kind of telling her that, this is normal for his diagnosis and stuff.
Yeah, normalizing is definitely an important part.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what the support group can help with too, just kind of making sure that she knows she's not alone in this as well. Okay, and then in addition to sundowning and just different behaviors as well, I could also provide some information on how to de-escalate a situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll include that in the email as well.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help you with before you guys get out of here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, perfect. I'm sorry this is all happening. I know it's really hard.
Yeah, it's been stressful, but I think getting some more resources will help get us in a better spot.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, it was nice meeting you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks. Nice to meet you too.